Starting recording. Kind of like always, feel free to interrupt, ask questions at any time. This call is for you guys and the community. So first, to kind of give you guys an update, you guys can let me know beforehand how the call went last week. I watched it. It was kind of short, but Mike Kuhn, I thought, did a really good job. He's doing a lot of the development work on the miner, so it was cool. He got to run it while I was out at Devcon. Let me know if he didn't do a good job. The kind of big update for the past week, we didn't really get a whole lot of work done as far as on the miner, mainly because I was out at Devcon in Japan. It was a really good time. So the big sort of news out of that, the one really positive thing, we got a Consensys Grant, which is super cool. So Consensys gave us 25,000 since they kind of believe in what we're doing and want to see us help grow the space with decentralized Oracle. So that was super exciting. We got to meet Joe Lubin, and they announced it out there, so that was fun. The other things, just so we basically we went around and we talked with all of the other projects, every single person there, and everybody needs a decentralized Oracle. So it's just one of those things that the need in the space is very apparent. People know that, listen, we're sort of sick of dealing with these centralized price feeds, and we need something there. So it was really good that people sort of recognized that, and they were all really receptive to kind of our solution. A lot of them we're just going to be working on building into, basically. We have calls set up over the next few weeks, and so the main thing is we'll be looking for hopefully some more help on the Solidity side. I know a lot of you guys are Solidity developers, so if you want to help do some grunt work about putting ourselves into other projects, we want to really make it. We're working on our documentation, we're working on other things, but actually getting put into other projects and being used by other projects, that's what's going to actually increase the value of our system. That's what's going to kind of make this whole thing make sense, rather than just mining it for ourselves. So that said, more updates to come, but back to kind of the miner business. So I think to kind of go over the issues that we saw over the past week, the first one that we were talking about yesterday was the temp database issue. Sometimes what it can say is you'll see some error message that says it can't find the database, and that's because your computer, your operating system deleted your temporary folder. It's a really easy solution. Just go to your config file and change where your DB file is located and make that some folder that's not in your temp database. So thanks to Mike Kuhn for figuring that one out. We'll be changing it on the base path, so just so most people don't put it there at first. So yeah, and the other thing too, I've ran, so I have a bunch of miners and they've been running for a few months now, and especially if you're running on something with not a whole lot of storage, the database can't fill up, especially if you have like an error and it does a whole bunch of retries, your whole database will fill up. Just restart it. So we put in there that it'll clear that database. So just do a PM2 restart or restart the program and it'll clear that. So if it if you had a whole bunch of errors for a few minutes and then it kept going or something, just restart things. It tends to fix quite a few issues. The other issue that some people, which is still more of an open research thing at the moment, is the number of processors. So we tried to implement something where you can put in sort of the number of cores on your computer, and you put like numProcessors 4, and it'll do 4 parallel or kick off 4 jobs all at once, which is just that mining. So there's sort of 2 issues what we're realizing is that people still can't, like, no matter what they put the number at, they won't get their CPU up to 100%. And uh, we're gonna just have to look into why that is. It may be some sort of limitation on kind of your side. You limit like how much CPU one program can sort of eat up, um, or it may be an issue on ours. Because it's just like all sort of just this what people are telling me on direct messages on Telegram and what I'm hearing on the miner channel. Like some people have been able to push it up to 300%. I don't know how, but I'm just going to be like reaching out to them and trying to figure out what exactly they were doing to make it really work and what sort of settings they had. Um, yeah, so just kind of how we do that the best. The other thing is if you with the number of processors issue, if you're running it on one machine, let's say you have, if you kick off say like 10,000 and it's running them all parallel, it will not run them all parallel because you're going to hit an Infura error well before that. So unless you're running your own node, you query Infura and they rate limit you. So for the normal miner, or 2, 4, even 8, you're not going to hit those limits. But if you push it up to like 64, like some people have done, you start to hit those rate limits. So just know that you're not going to, like if you just put it at 1,000, it's going to break. And then you're going to have to like spin up a new Infura ID maybe or something. So don't do that. Just kind of incrementally go up and see if it actually makes a difference. So yeah, those are the two issues we're going to be looking into this week. The other big things on the roadmap for the miner. I don't know if Mike Kuhn was telling you guys last week. One of the big pieces is, so we're testing it now. So we separated out the database. So this is right now, if you have like, let's say you wanted to set up 20 miners, different private keys and everything, you would actually have to run like 20 different servers and get it all going. But now, and the problem is that each server would have the exact same database. So like the values for request ID 1, the values for request ID 2, the gas price, they're going to be the same regardless of servers. But now what we want to do is we want you to just be able to run one database and everything reads off of it. So you can have like, your one database set over here, and you have your 20 miner, your workers, and they all read off the same database, and it'll just make things more efficient. You won't actually have some of those. So if you have like API limits, for instance, like some people have gotten the Binance rate limits if they spin too much up on one IP address. So that'll get rid of that, which is super exciting. The other things, obviously we're working on some GPU implementation, just kind of overall optimizations, either whether it's the GPU optimizations or just even optimizations within it. So, there's still some things within our proof of work mining loop, just kind of making it a little bit better. So not converting to strings, not converting things from numbers to bytes, just reducing the number of computational steps so it's a lot faster. And then the last upgrade we're going to do is the dispute tracker. This isn't necessarily like urgent, but this is something that we want to have in place when people start using us, which is basically you guys will be able to set another flag that says like -dispute tracker, and then you'll be able to set like some ranges as far as like when you want to automatically dispute people, because we want to catch people who submit bad values ASAP. We don't want it to sort of go on. Which is always like usually the value that's sort of streaming is most up to date. So then what it's going to do is it's actually going to keep a historical database. So the size of your database is going to get a whole lot bigger. It's going to keep all those values for a day. And then if somebody submits like, a new value, it's just going to be able to tell like the max and min of all of those values and say like, hey, was this within there or was this within there plus 10% and some sort of band range. That way you'll know your miner can automatically dispute people, and everyone can sort of race to go get the dispute fee. But it'll make it a really good system as far as, we catch your bad value, within a block or two. And that's going to make a big difference. So, but right now though, at the moment, we're still updating a lot of those PSRs. We're updating which values we want you guys to pull. So we're not really sort of trying to be mean with any of the disputes or things like that. It is still an early system. So it's just more now. Now just don't be a dick and break it. But in the future, it's going to have to do more with, what the actual value is. But basically, if you're running the miner, you're going to be fine. We'll make sure you're fine. Okay, so, and then I see we have a question. I get about 10 tokens per day. How can I improve speed? It's kind of why, it's the golden question. I wish we knew. Increase your processing power. It's really tough. We're going to be working as far as putting hash rate measures in as well. I see Mike Gens here. He's going to be helping us hopefully do that. He's had some ideas. We've been having some different ways that we can sort of measure, okay, well, how much, I guess, what's the hash rate that your computer's throwing off? And we'd love to, that way we can, once we get that, then we get to measures on, okay, my computer's doing this hash rate, and this is how many I'm getting. And then hopefully, it's a nice, roughly linear thing as far as like, this leads to this. And then you can measure it. So increase this number means increase rewards. And that'll be helpful. So we'll give you like a nice little metric you can shoot at. So next stuff, going into kind of the help stuff. If you want to help out, if you guys want to do some actual work, we're willing to pay you guys in tributes. Just reach out to me. If you want to do some development work. So there's a few pieces. There's the Solidity side. Whenever we start implementing into other projects, if you want to help with that, they're kind of fun because you get to look at like other projects' code, but then they're kind of tedious because it's like you don't get to write your own code. But if you're into doing that, that can be fun. Kind of get your name on 2 different repos. If you're a kind of front-end JavaScript developer, we do have Tellor scan. So if you go to Tellor scan, we're making some improvements to that over time. We're going to kind of put voting on there. We want to make it easier for you guys to add tips. We want to make it also just start putting some charts up there, which is going to be good. And then lastly, obviously, if you're a Golang miner or a Golang developer, come help us build out the miner. Even if you are just semi-interested in Golang, if you're used to Solidity or something like that, it's really easy to pick up. So those are the big things. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. And now we have a special presentation. Artem is going to share the state of the network. Artem, would you like to take over and give us, you can walk us through some of your charts, and we can ask some questions on them. Right. Can you talk, Artem? Or is this just going to be a visual walkthrough on there, right?
Yeah. Do you see my screen?
I can see your screen. It looks good.
Oh, okay. So I have a few charts. This one is staker count. So
wait, we can't see your screen. We just see your background.
Oh, 1 moment. I need to rejoin. Okay. 1 second.
Okay. Artem will rejoin. Yeah, he put together. We'll be posting the charts afterwards. But if you've seen his lovely charts that he keeps track of, we're going to go over them. So definitely just blurt out some questions if you have them. Kind of on how I created them. All right.
Okay. Let me try again.
There you go.
Yeah, do you see This is a chart now.
Okay, I see the chart now. If you cannot see the chart, say something now.
Yeah. Here is staker count. So we've settled at about 100 stakers, of which about 60 or 70 are getting at least one block per day. Then we have.
Well, then, so if you go back, if you want to go back to the staker count,
Yeah.
I can sort of walk people through. So
Yeah,
if you see
okay.
that dip, so that would be like the big question. That was whenever like we had those round of disputes.
Yeah, that's like
Settled.
10 nodes slashed.
Yeah, and
This
then
dip.
we quickly rebuilt them because I think we paid most of them back. But
Yeah,
yes,
and here is this little blip is me. I was slashed for zero value, and apparently this is a bug in miner.
but we gave, to be clear, we gave Artem his money back.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's
Next
funny.
up, I have miner distribution. I'll share that in the chat because it's kind of small. So we have someone mining about 250 at most, and I think around 50 or 60 miners for today.
Sure,
So
it looks pretty clean.
yeah, it seems nice. Next up, I have difficulty chart. The red lines are times when the algorithm was changed. So here the sensitivity function was reduced, and here sensitivity was reduced even further. This dip is when nobody tipped for about, I think, 8 hours or even more. So difficulty dropped a lot here. And the bold black line is daily average difficulty, so it's constantly growing. I think this chart looks healthy too.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we basically doubled in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and it's super funny because so we've doubled in the past 2 weeks, meaning it's still trying to catch up. But I mean, like we've roughly been at about 100 miners for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, the miners count didn't change, but I think many of the miners have deployed more hardware.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see. So we're increasing the difficulty, but we're not increasing the number of miners, which is sort of different than how it was before. So
next
really
up, I have an interesting chart about gas costs. So I've collected all the transactions of submit mining solution and split them to successful and failed. And I've assembled a chart of daily gas costs of these transactions. So it peaked at about, I think, 22 or 21 Ether per day for the whole network. And now the gas is cheaper. I think it's about one or two Ether per day for the entire network.
Yeah,
And,
well, I mean, so if you see like we're down to number 19 in terms of total gas cost because a lot of other projects are kind of taking over, but I am a-okay with you guys not spending money on gas. This is awesome.
Yeah, I have another chart, which is kind of hard to read, but I think it's really interesting. It shows daily mined tokens by all the miners, actually all the miners on the network since the beginning. And the brighter the color, the newer the miner. So you can see here at about September 23rd, a few powerful miners have joined the network. And I have another version of the chart that shows cumulative mine tokens. So you can see that one of the first miners that joined on August 17th have mined over 17,000 tokens. And here you can see, I think 4 or 5 new miners since September 23rd. that I think is all one party, because the slope is exactly the same.
It looks like they're starting to taper off at the far
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Looks like we're catching up. No, this
It
is
could be because today's date is not the data for today's date is not complete, so maybe it'll continue.
yeah. When you guys can all see that all of my miners have basically flatlined.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to see where I'm at, you can look at those nice straight lines up there near the top.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
this is
basically
helpful.
all I have, and I'll share these charts in the chat in a moment.
Yeah, I'm guessing as soon as we, like once we actually get some GPU power on here, as far as like enabling that, it's going to be very interesting what happens to that chart, because I think basically every miner now will just become almost obsolete relatively quickly. So, yeah, even that guy. So it'll be fun to kind of watch how that changes over time. Cool. So does anybody have any questions? So, okay. Roman asks discussions about real. Yes, people plan to use Teller's rates. Maybe not for Bitcoin US dollar. Ethereum US dollar seems to be the easiest sell. So I'm not going to name any names now because we're still working out kind of the exact use cases, partnership agreements. I don't know if you guys have seen. So the one that we can sort of say is because you can see their repo in. So Compound, we want to be a price feed into Compound's ETH US dollar Oracle, and they are all on board with that. Basically we'll be an input, and then their centralized feed will also still be an input. Other ones, so there were a bunch of wallets. So like a lot of cryptocurrency wallets that are decentralized, they like to pull in an ETH US dollar price, and that way they can have sort of say like a rate for if you say you want to buy a certain amount at $1, $100 a day, you need an ETH US dollar price. They're all for using us. Daily ETH US dollar price, we got that one down. And then the other ones are, the big ones that we really want in the future whenever we have like the derivatives platforms come on board. And those ones take a little bit more creativity as far as getting people to use us. Just not necessarily because we're not the right product for it. There really are no other decentralized oracles out there. But it's just how to sort of make it work, and how to sort of make sure that they understand kind of the limitations of, we have one query every 10 minutes. But that's sort of a strength as well, because you have these slow things that, they can be disputed. They're very secure. So if you're doing a derivatives contract, what that means is that, if you want 1 minute price updates for margining, like it's just never going to happen on the Ethereum network, at least on a secure fashion. So knowing that, like, listen, you need to have these sort of systems in place that you don't call the oracles very often, and you use it more as this dispute mechanism. And people seem really open to the idea, and then it's starting to sort of take off. But no, it was really exciting. Yeah. So there are a lot of real use cases at Devcon. Prediction markets, there's derivatives platforms, and then we're talking to wallets as well, just kind of beat their price feed. So yeah, if you want to help build on those, Any more questions? No. Okay. Guys, thanks for joining. Yeah, I'll post the video sometime later today. No promises when. And yeah, talk to you guys all next week. Bye, everyone.